It's another public holiday, and Dnipro synagogue is packed. In the Orthodox Jewish tradition, fragments of scripture are worn in boxes on the head and arm to remind them to love God with their hearts and minds. Ukraine currently has the 5th largest Jewish community in Europe and the 10th largest in the world. They're building a huge new complex in our square mile. Its 7 towers will include a Holocaust museum, shops, restaurants, a banqueting hall, conference facilities and a 70-room hotel.
So this is the new Jewish community centre you're building. It really is absolutely massive.
It's a fulfillment of our dream. We actually feel it's a real miracle because it's a very ambitious project. It's the biggest Jewish center in the world, coming a reality in the city of Dnipropetrovsk. It's supposed to create a platform for the future revival of the Jewish life here in the city and also in the region and in Ukraine at large.
The history of the Jewish community in Dnipro has been a turbulent one. 200 years ago, when the city was called Yekaterinoslav, Jews settled here because it was one of the few places in Russia they were allowed to live. The community thrived, and by the 1930s, nearly half the population of the city was Jewish. Then came the horrors of the Second World War. In 1941, over 11,000 Jews who hadn't fled were murdered by the Nazis. This project will commemorate their lives, and it's hoped finally lay to rest the anti-Semitism of Soviet times.
You must be very proud that it's happening here.
It's huge pride for all of us. As a kid in the Soviet school, I was dreaming of running away from the nightmare of my life. There was strong anti-Semitism. It was very, very hard. You couldn't hope to enter a prestigious university. So you grow up and you even develop, I speak from myself, an inferiority complex. And that's why now when I tell my children the stories, they don't understand me. They don't believe me because they enjoy full freedom. So they can't even imagine how life was like some 18, 20 years ago. And now you're going to see this amazing reality that 3 years ago there was a dream, just the idea, and it's already, the building is standing and we are already performing finishing works.
Although our guides wouldn't reveal to us the exact cost of the building, other sources have put it at $60 to $70 million. The money is said to have come mainly from 2 prominent oligarchs, both born in Dnipro and amongst the richest men in Ukraine.
Let me help you because it's very, very high. You know, you're very brave.
I feel very brave.
From high up on the 20th floor, the views across our square mile are stunning.
We're standing on the roof of the biggest Jewish center in the world. We look around and we see all over whole history of Dnipropetrovsk, and some buildings are actually from the time of Yekaterinoslav, which is the original name of the city.
You can really see the old and the modern and the Soviet, and it's quite something, isn't it?
We see the old synagogue where 20 years ago just a few elderly were coming, still remembering the prayers from their childhood. And now we have an amazing, powerful, united, consolidated, strong communities. Amazing transformation.
I'm about to meet a highly controversial Ukrainian VIP now, former Prime Minister Yulia Tymoshenko. Now, she's actually under house arrest on corruption charges in Kiev, but she's been allowed to fly here today, her hometown where she was born and brought up, because it's International Women's Day, and she's going to see her mum.
Like VIPs the world over, timekeeping isn't Ms. Tymoshenko's strong point, but at least the delay gives her anxious supporters time to practice their bouquet giving. If every woman in Ukraine deserves an armful of flowers on International Women's Day, then clearly an ex-prime minister merits the entire contents of a florist shop. Yulia Tymoshenko's whole family still lives in Dnipro, and she enjoys strong support here. I was fascinated to see firsthand the charisma radiated by this tiny, immaculate, ultra-feminine political powerhouse in this traditionally macho society. It's reassuring to know that even former prime ministers can't escape being fussed over by their aunties when they come home. I was curious to know how she felt about her time in office.
You had the opportunity to make a difference for your country at a very important stage. Looking back now, do you feel you made the most of that?
Двічі, знаходячись на посту прем'єр-міністра, так склалися політичні обставини в Україні в реальній опозиції до об'єднання тіньової економіки, тіньових великих олігархічних структур з владою, з президентською владою. Я, як могла, протидіяла цьому.
What about your future? How do you see that panning out?
Я думаю, що такої перевірки ще жоден прем'єр-міністр не проходив. І, власне кажучи, їх перевірка – це є повна реабілітація для мене. І це говорить про те, що у України все ж таки є майбутнє без корупції, без тіньової економіки і без злочинів політиків.
Deep under our square mile is the Dnipro Metro, which has the unhappy distinction of being the shortest metro in the world, and not by design. It's become a symbol here of broken political promises in an area which spawned the careers of ex-presidents Brezhnev, Kuchma and Prime Minister Tymoshenko. I'm off to meet a local journalist to find out a bit more. Do you travel by metro? Как часто вы едете на метро?
За 15 лет со дня открытия пользовалась метро 3 раза.
Почему?
Потому что оно ведет от рабочего района в центр, на вокзал, и без надобности мне посещать этот рабочий район.
И почему метро самое короткое здесь?
Нам все обещают перед каждыми выборами открыть новую линию. Вот последнее обещание в 2015 году обещает открыть линию до исторического музея. А у нас как раз на этот год назначены очередные президентские выборы.
The unfinished metro is the kind of story journalists I know love to look into. But in some parts of the world, investigative journalism is becoming increasingly dangerous.
What's it like being a journalist in Ukraine today?
Журналист подвергается многим рискам. Очень нет культуры того, что многие не воспринимают журналистскую критику, и бизнесмены, и политики. Они считают в порядке вещей позвонить журналисту с угрозами, либо позвонить редактору с требованием прекратить публиковать материалы этого журналиста. И такие журналисты часто оказываются без работы.
Ukraine has fallen dramatically on the Press Freedom Index in the last year. Many media companies here are controlled by oligarchs, and the freedom of the press is causing increasing concern. In a little square near the History Museum, the locals have come out to enjoy some outdoor entertainment. and to find out just who can eat the most vareniki, Ukrainian dumplings, in the shortest possible time.
So I'm here at the Maslena Festival, which is the kind of pancake week here. It's before the fast starts tomorrow. It used to be a religious festival, but it was banned in Soviet times, but now it's back again. I'm here with Tim, who's an expert on Ukrainian culture, and he's going to tell me everything about it. So what's going on here, Tim?
Це прадавнє язичницьке українське свято, свято Масляної, проводи зими. Сьогодні останній день Масляного тижня, коли ми прощаємось з зимою і переходимо в новий рік, в рік тепла, весни. З чим вас вітаємо? З Новим роком! Happy New Year!
It's been a really interesting trip for me. A peek into Dnipro's Soviet past at Yuzmash, and then a glimpse of the city's future at the Jewish Centre. And in between, the chance to hear people talk openly and freely about both the good and the bad in their lives. Something that would have been simply unthinkable just 20 years ago.